It is very dark today, so it's quite dark in here as well, to be honest. I'm going to be making really pretty pearl necklaces today. I've named them Lakshmi. There's lots of different colours to choose from. They come on either silver findings or kind of like a gold coloured findings as well. Lots of pretty pearls and really straightforward to make. I'm going to be using, I suppose it is kind of a stitch beading project, but as usual, I'm using my fingers, I'm not using a needle. I'm going to be using some nylon thread, which is a 0.25. You can see me here, I'm just stretching it out a little bit just to make sure there's no kinks in it. And it is really straightforward to do. So I'm going to say a very quick good morning to you. These are how they look on the mat right now. These are just some of the colourways that we've got. I'll lift them up a little bit so you can see that they go into this really pretty pointed shape. And they're very, very elegant. They look really lovely when you wear them. So I'll take you over to the website shortly. Let me just say hello to you. Drop me a comment. How's your week been so far? It's Wednesday again already, isn't it? Good morning to famous-born Rachel in a cloudy Barrow. Is it as dark, Rachel, where you are? It looks like it's going to rain heavy. Good morning to Lisa. Good morning to DIY Dream Weddings. Not seen you for a little while. I hope you're well. Good morning to Anne as well, who's saying hello to everybody in the chat. So I'm going to take you over now to the website. We are, of course, totallybeads.co.uk, and this is where you can DIY Dream Weddings. Actually, I think these would be very good wedding wears, particularly the kind of white and creamy coloured ones that we've got. So if you head over to totallybeads.co.uk, you'd see all of the colours that we've got for you today. If you head into the video tutorial category on the main page, as you know, there's many different ways you can get into it, or go to learn to make jewellery. I've named it Lakshmi, and here is how our necklaces look in their different colours. So they're all £3.99, which is a really, really good price. You can change currency if you want to, just here at the top of the page where I'm hovering my little mouse. And you'll see we have it in peach, which I think I'm going to demo. Yeah, I'm going to demonstrate the light peach for you today, because I think it's kind of wedding-y, like snow. We've also got a light purple, we've got a pale olive, we've got a pink, we have a powder blue, we've got a space grey, and we've got a white. You can change up the design at the bottom in terms of how you create that point, but I'm going to be showing you how to do it like this today. So we'll head into the light peach and I'll show you very quickly what you're going to get. So for £3.99, you're going to be able to make one very beautiful necklace. It comes with a little piece of chain as well, so you can make that extended chain, so you can change it to fit various different necklines, which I think is a very handy thing to have. You're going to get your nylon line, you're going to get your clasp, your jump rings, your crimp beads, your callottes, and as I say, that little piece of extra chain. The callottes I'm using today are callottes with hooks on them instead of the two loops that I'm quite often fond of using. I thought we could just show you a slightly different finding and how that works. And if you want to know exactly the sizes and things that you're getting, the nylon, which is my invisible thread, is a 0.25. We've got our glass round pearls. They're all 4mm, but they come in different colours, and some will be with gold and some will be with silver chain and findings, so they're all matches for you. So that one is the very pretty light peach. I'm going to be starting off around the neckline. I'm going to be doubling over that thread, and I'm going to be crisscrossing those beads into a point at the bottom and then traveling back up. I'm not going to make a full size one today, just for time purposes, because it's quite repetitive just doing this bit over and over again. So, but I will show you how it's made, and I will give you all the information you need to make the full size one, which I've done on these samples here. Of course, you can create that extra length as well by adding that little bit of chain at the back. This is the Lakshmi pearl necklace in light purple. It's a really pretty colour. I can show you this one down on the mat so you can see how that works, just crisscrossing into that very pretty point at the bottom. I think a top like I'm wearing today, which has got kind of like a V-shaped neckline, would look really nice with these necklaces. We've got a pale olive one for you as well. Again, they're all 4mm in size, those pearls, so you can have a little look how they would look. And, you know, if there isn't a colourway, but you really, really, you know, want to make this, you can always just buy some 4mm pearls off the website, and you can make them in whatever colour you want. This one is a pink version. So here you could choose from, it's just called pink. It's not got a particular name, just pink, pretty pink. And we also have the powder blue, which I can show you down here on the mat. Very gorgeous. A little bit ice queen, this one. Really liking this colour. We also have a space grey, and we've also a white as well. So they're all £3.99. You're getting everything you need in your kit. You can change up, as I say, this focal point at the bottom. You can choose from different coloured pearls, and they will come with various different coloured findings as well, depending on which one you go for. So head over to totallybeads.co.uk. Really simple, nice make today, and I hope you enjoy making along with me. So I'm going to go back out of this. Head over to totallybeads.co.uk if you would like your kits for £3.99, which will get you the Lakshmi kit to make along with. So I've got lots of you in now. Thank you so much for joining me. I've said good morning to DIY Dream Weddings, but I hadn't said hello to our lovely Camille, who says another dull day here. Hope you're all well. Hello to Anastasia. Good morning to lovely Mina. Fairness Bone says definitely dark here. Got the light on. I've got the big light on and the projector light on, and I haven't got my ring light on because that broke and I didn't swap it. I'm liking my stand. I'm used to the stand I've got. So if it starts getting too dark, then I will amend that. Good morning. Hello, Carol. She says, I can't find you on Facebook. We are looking like we're on Facebook. And I do have some comments on Facebook, so I don't know what's happening there. But thanks for joining me here on YouTube. Good morning to Yolanda. She says, happy Wednesday to everybody. I can't wait until the weekend. She says she's making her son and grandson's bracelet using leather with their names engraved on a metal piece. Wish her luck. Well, loads of luck to you. Good morning to Leanne. She says she's in New York. 36 degrees this morning, and hoping everybody is well. And good morning to Izzy, who says she's liking this necklace. And Camille's waving, she's on Facebook. Okay, I'll show you very quickly the 4 samples that I've got in front of me here. This one will be the one I'm demonstrating with. This is the light peach. This one here is what the powder blue will look like. We've got this gorgeous light purple, and then this one here is a pale olive. So really gorgeous colours. They just look really, really lovely. What I might do, I will put one on at the end, but you can see I've got a little extender chain on the back of this, and it will just fit around your neck. I won't put it on properly. I'll just put it on here. But if I did put it on properly, it would sit nice and flat. But you can see how it looks on the busts. You've got that lovely little point. So they're really easy to do, and we'll get making now. If you're ready, I am too. I'll show you very quickly how gorgeous those pearls look, just doing that crisscross, that little kind of pointed centre. Lovely powder blue. I usually put the gold findings with the kind of pale olives and greens, but today I thought I'd mix it up and I'd pop it on silver findings instead. And we have this one here too, which is the light purple. You could also layer these up if you wanted. Obviously you've got that extender chain, but you could layer them up if you wanted to as well. They're really very straightforward. So I'm just going to put those to the side at the top there out of the way. And I'm going to take my nylon thread. Now I want a long piece of nylon because I'm going to be using 2 ends to it. I'm wondering whether you're going to be able to see my nylon thread. But I'm going to be using 2 ends to it, 2 sides when I'm bringing that through. So I want to essentially kind of double it over. I'm going to be using 160 centimeters of this, which is about 63 inches. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little seed bead or crimp bead. Now I'm using a crimp bead and they'll be in your kits, but you could use a very small, maybe size 11 seed bead instead if you wanted to. I'm going to bring that down to the center. So do I need to get a different colour behind me? I think I might do, just to show you. Please bear with me. I was thinking, no, I won't need to, but actually but you're going to get the shadow there, aren't you? Just so you can see my threads a little bit better as I start off. So I've popped my crimp bead onto the middle, and I'm just going to bring both of my ends of my thread together to find the centre. So take the two ends, and then my centre will be right in the middle, and my crimp bead is going to just fall right there. Now I want to make sure that I'm keeping these fairly even. What I don't want to end up is with one long length and one small length. That's going to make you run short. So what I do is I'm just going to tie a little knot. So a little overhand knot. And again, I'm going to bring those two ends up together. Now, if these two ends are at the same point, as I bring, just popping my finger in and then bringing that right down, can you see now I can keep that seed bead in the centre of my thread? And if you want to, you can double knot that. So that's just another overhand knot. If I keep those two ends together, where that knot is, I'm going to travel it down. So I just tend to pop my finger in where the loop is and just slide that knot down. And then that's going to keep my little crimp in the centre of those two threads. That's how I do it anyway. Now what I'm going to do once I've tied my little knot, I'm going to take both of my my working ends, and I'm going to add my little callotte. Now the callotte, usually I use them, they've got two little loops on them. You can see here I've got a little hook on it instead. So it's the same in terms of you've got like that clamshell shape, but instead of the two loops, I've got a little hook at the top. And it works the same essentially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two working ends. Just going to take that little knot out that's just caught. And this is why I like using the nylon thread, because it is very forgiving. If I was using this with kind of like a cotton like stitching thread, which you absolutely could do, for me personally, I'd get tangled up. And this is quite forgiving. I can untangle that quite easily. I'm going to take those two working threads and I'm going to put it through the callotte, and then you'll see my crimp bead is just sitting inside. It's going to act like a stopper. I'm not going to crimp it, not flattening it down or anything like that. I'm just leaving it inside, and then I've got those two threads coming out the bottom of equal length. I'm then going to do what I would usually do. I'm going to give it a little pinch, and I'm just going to close up that little kind of shell shape around it, so my bead is in the center. And then I'm going to put a little bit of pressure with a pair of pliers. Chain nose will do just fine, and that will just bring, like I would usually, just by pressing it, it's just going to trap that little crimp bead inside. Now what I tend to do is I get my round nose pliers, and I will start to just fold that hook over. So now I've made that into a little loop, and then I can attach my clasp and my jump rings onto the end of that as normal. So now I have my two pieces of thread, which I will leave on the board just so you can see. And I'm going to start with my pearls. So I'm using all of one colour pearl. They're all 4mm in size. And I'm just going to start adding all my pearls on through both ends of those threads. So let me just open up my thread. So I've got some of my beads out. And I'm going to add 6 of my pearls on. So taking both together. You can stagger them if it's easier, but taking both of those ends, and I'm going to add on 6 pearls. So bringing both threads up through the pearl in the same direction. And this is why also I don't really need a needle, because the thread has a stiffness to it. So I can push that through the bead hole really easily. But then it's also kind of got like dexterity to it, like movement to it. So I was making a necklace for January earlier in the week, and I attempted it with tiger tail to begin with, and there was just too much rigidity for the way I wanted the necklace to sit. I then thought about using a thread with it, like a fire line, and again, then it was too floppy. This is like the middle ground for me. It's got the movement in the thread, but it's also not too stiff and not too floppy. So I'm just going to add 6 pearls onto both ends, and I'm going to push them up and pull both ends so they're nice and taut just underneath that little calotte. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm just making a little section of my beads before I start running into the pattern. Now the pattern is really straightforward and it's very repetitive after this stage onwards. So all I'm going to do is separate out my 2 ends, and I'm going to add 2 pearls onto one side. So it doesn't matter if you're working off the left or the right. You can pin this to a board as well if you find it easier to work on. I'm going to put 2 on the other side. No, I'm not. I'm just putting 1 on the other side, sorry. So 2 onto one side, my left, 1 onto the other side, and then I'm going to bring back through. So by picking up another pearl, you could put 2 onto the other side and then just bring it back through this one. I'm going to put it onto one side, so it's going onto my right side, and then I'm taking the left end of the thread and I'm passing that back through the same bead in the other direction. So they cross over in the centre of the bead, and then as I pull them down, it will make that first little point, like so. It's going to sit off centre and know what I've done wrong. Do bear with me. That's what I'm going to do for the rest of it, but actually for the first one I'm not, because I want it in the centre and I want it to sit centrally. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm putting 1 bead on one side, 1 bead on the other side, and then I'm just bringing it back through 1. I will do 2 on one side after this, but for now, sorry, I got that wrong. We're all making mistakes because I've not done it for a while, so we're all human, and it's really easy fix. So can you see I've got 1 onto the left, 1 onto the right, and bringing that back through. Now when I pull them together, there you go, it's going to sit in the centre. That's better. Now I'm going to add 2 onto one side, so I'm going to add 2 onto the left. I'm going to add 2 onto the right, or 1 onto the right, it doesn't matter, because this last pearl that I pop on, I'm going to bring it back through. So 2 onto one, and then 1 onto the other, and then adding that pearl again onto the right thread, taking the left thread and passing it back through the centre. Now if you find there's a little bit of coating on your pearl, give your thread a little wiggle and that will just open it up so you've got a nice clear drill hole in the centre that you can pass your thread back through easily. I've done it again. What's going on? I have added an extra one. So sorry. Right, let's do it again. One onto one side, one onto the other. It's that second one that's just caught me off. And then I'm bringing that back through. Do you know what it is? It's because I was saying I'm doing one for January, and it's quite similar in terms of technique, but it's got a different amount of beads running through it. So that's in my head. There you go. I've corrected it, and I'll talk you through it properly now. 6 beads all going onto one. Then I'm doing one onto that and bringing it back through. Right, there you go. So 1 bead onto one side. It will curl a little bit, but you'll see how it looks when it's flattened out. 1 onto the other side. And then pick up another one. So you've got 2 on one side essentially, confusing myself. And then bring the thread back through in the opposite direction. Here you go. And we're away, and we're good. So it's looking like this if I hold it up. Angela just said, it's just a new design. I know, yeah. That's January's. So 1 pearl onto one side. 1 pearl onto the other side. And then bring them back through. 1 pearl going in onto the threads, with the threads going in the opposite direction, so they crisscross over. There you go. If you want to talk it through a different way, you can put 2 onto one side. Get that thread through. I'll go this way. And then 1 onto the other side. And then take it back through the second pearl. But you need to make sure that your threads are crossing over in the center. So if you put 2 on one side, you're just bringing it back through the last pearl on the side with the 2 on it. But I think it's probably easier to just do 1 on one, 1 on the other, and then 1 through the middle. So as I say, if you've got a little bit of the paint colouring, just wiggle that thread through, and then that will open it up. So no little blockages. And all I'm doing is just pulling on the threads in opposite directions. And that will create that shape. Morning, Esther. You're not late at all, you just missed me making mistakes. Camille says, nice to know the experts can make mistakes too. I don't think I'd call myself an expert. I mean, I've been beading and making jewellery now for about 5 years. It is my job, so I should be, but there's always time to learn new things. And sometimes by making a mistake, you might, as Angela says, just come up with a completely new design. 1 on the left, 1 on the right. And again, if you want to, you can add 2 needles to your thread, and you can pass them through that way if that's easier for you. But I don't really feel the need to do that with this. I just tend to add on directly to the thread. What I would say is do it in good lighting, not like I'm doing here. Do as I say, not as I do, just so you can actually, you're not straining your eyes. So I repeat this pattern until I've got the length that I want. I usually do about 30 or 32 sections. And what I mean by a section is one on one side, one on the other, bringing back through the middle. So I tend to just count, I've got, say, 32 pearls, and I'll say that's long enough. I'm not going to make a full one today. Yes, Cynthia, you can just use a needle with wildfire or something else if you want to. It's absolutely fine. As I say, for me, I think I like the nylon just because it's invisible, so you can't see any of your thread path, and it's got strength to it. It's easy to tie knots in, but not get tangled. But you do whatever works for you. Fairness Born says mistakes can be happy accidents. Well, thank you for being patient with me, and thank you for being forgiving. Hopefully it's all making sense. It is really straightforward. I usually just have a minute of a morning to just sit with it and just check I know what I'm doing. Because I think my problem is I'm making so much, and I'm making so much ahead of myself. I forget what I'm making. I usually write myself like little instructions, so I'll know how much thread did I use for that, and then I'll write like how many inches is that, and how many centimeters is this, or what gauge is this, and what gauge is that. So I'm just going to go with that until I've got the length that I want, which, as I say, I usually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'll count till I've got 32 sections. So one bead onto one side of my thread, whichever thread you choose to use. In your kits will be the nylon. One bead onto the other side. These are 4mm glass pearls. So really pretty, lovely colours, very shimmery finish. But very cost effective as well, and they're also quite light. And then I'm taking another pearl, I'm going to pop it onto one side, and then bring my thread back through, so the thread is crossing through the bead. I've got the left coming out on the right side and the right thread coming out on the left side. I take those two ends, or if I've got them on needles, I'll hold my needles and I'll pull away from each other, which will draw the beads in together and continue to make this shape. Morning, Cal. So one on the left. I tend to work in a pattern as well, so I'll always do like the left side first, but it doesn't matter if you want to just pop it on the right and then do the left, as long as you've got one bead on each side. Let them drop towards the last ones, and then we're going to take the thread from one side and pop my pearl on. So it comes out the opposite side of the pearl, pull it through a little bit, taking the other side of the thread back through the pearl, taking the threads, pulling away from each other to create my next one. So I would, at the moment, you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sections from just counting those pearls that are running in the middle. I would do that until I've got the length that I want. So I'm going to go for about 30 of those centre pearls, or 32. When I get down to my full length and I want to create this kind of pointed, kind of scalloped edge here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my left thread. I'm just going to get the end. So to make the centre, I'm going to put 3 pearls on one side. So 3 pearls on the left, . like so. And then the right hand tail is going to just have 1. So 3 on the left, 1 on the right. And then I'm going to take that left thread and I'm going to bring it back up through, just crossing over like we've done before, but I'm just going to cross through that 1 that we put on the right. And then again, as I draw those away from each other, it's going to give myself that little circle, so now I can work back up the same amount as I did on this side. So if I've done 30 or 32, I'm going to count that one as my first and work back. And I'm going to do exactly the same way. This is just going to be a tiny little necklace. It's just going to be this part. But then I could add this onto a chain and do it that way. But as you can see, I don't want to be, we'll be here all day otherwise. So then I'm taking my left and adding 1 pearl on. I'm taking the right and adding 1 on, and we're just going to work our way back up the same amount, but doing exactly the same as we were doing before. 1 on one side, 1 on the other side, and then crossing over. So picking another pearl up, threading those back through, and just make sure that you pull your threads. I'm slipping because I'm using this kind of plastic board, but can you see that's created that point? It's going to work up back in that direction. So we did 10, didn't we? So I want to make sure this section is the same length. So essentially this section and this section will be the same on both sides. Yeah, that's a nice idea, Camille. She says your simple, smaller one will make a nice bracelet. You could have a matching suite. So left, right, and then 1 on both. So I'm popping this onto the right side and bringing the left back through. Going through the same bead in the opposite direction. Camille is responding to Sheila, who's on the sunbed calling in Lanzarote. How long are you there for, Sheila? Feels like you've been away for ages. Probably hasn't, has it? It's probably only been a week, if that. I miss you. So jealous. It's really, really wintry here at the moment. Like, it's meant to be getting very wet and kind of stormy as well over the weekend, which is a panic because I need my roof putting on. I think that's also why I'm making mistakes, because I've just got so much going on in my mind at the minute. This is why I just find making such a therapeutic thing for me when I'm getting stressed with life and, you know, the everyday of what's going on. Just sitting and just making some pretty things. Just, I don't concentrate on anything else other than what I'm doing. I get into my little zone. It's kind of like my meditation. So just working back up the necklace. I want both sections on both sides to be the same length. Otherwise, that won't end up being a centre point. It'll be a little bit lopsided. So continue with that. Let me just get some more pearls out. The left. Tend to hold my thread as well while I go, just so I can just swap hands with it. And it's not particularly long make. Get into a little rhythm with it. So how many have I got here so far? I think we had 10, didn't we, on one side? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7, 8, 9. Just get some more pearls out ready. Sheila says she's going to be returning on Sunday, back to the cold wind and rain. Bring the sunshine back with us. Will you enjoy your time? You've still got ages, yeah. I do love going abroad somewhere warm and sunny. I like when you've been around the pool or the beach or sightseeing all day, and then you come back to your room and you can hear the crickets. I love that sound. And you wash all your suntan lotion off and pop your after sun on. Start getting ready to go out. Go for a meal somewhere. It'll be a long time before I get to experience that again at the moment, because all my pennies are going into the house. So I'm living vicariously through you, Sheila. I suppose though, you let me know, if you live in a sunny, hot climate, do you long for that difference? Like in England, we get, or in Britain, we do get proper seasons. I mean, some years it just feels like it's autumn and winter all the way through, but we do get a real change in the seasons, where in our summers are, hot and dry, and sometimes too hot, and all we do is just complain about the heat because we're not used to it. And then in the winter we get the cold and we can get the snow. I think it's because it's usually just rainy old Britain. I think that's why we like to travel as a country as much as we do, really, because we get to have that sunshine for a little bit. I do love the seasons. Me and my little boy were chatting what our favourite season is, and he said he likes summer and winter, and I said, oh, I love autumn. I quite like spring as well. So he said, I like the middles. I don't know what he means by that. I like the middles. I like them all. Right. So I'm just working back up, one on one side, one on the other, and bringing back through until I've got it on even lengths. So let me count and check what we have. Doesn't matter because it's only a small one anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This will be my last one. So I'd be doing 30 to 32 little sections to get a full length necklace, and I'll also be adding on a little extender chain as well. What I do tend to find is if I'm using the nylon, just give it a little stretch afterwards, really. And that will just make sure, at the moment you can see because it didn't stretch out my thread so much, it can kind of buckle a little bit. Whereas once I have it, if I just give it a little pull through my fingers, it will sit really nice and flat. So I have all of my sides on one, all of my little cross sections on the other, so they're of equal length, and this one here is in the center. And all I'm going to do to finish is I'm going to put a pearl on each side, one on one side and one on the other side of my thread. So one on the left, one on the right. And then instead of crossing back through like I have been doing, I'm going to take both of my threads together. Get some more pearls off that strand. And I'm going to pass them both up in the same direction this time. So taking them both tail pieces of my thread up through the bottom of the pearl and out through the top. Hi Zakia, how are you doing? And then you'll see once I pull that neatly, that's going to give me the same way of finishing on each side. So now my both threads coming out through that top pearl. What I do then tend to do is give it a little knot. My threads are very, very long. And then I just want to make sure that that's sitting central on top of those two pearls. Now I started with 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to add another 5 pearls on in the same way as we did to begin with. So my threads are coming up through. I only tie them in a knot just to kind of keep it in place. But I'm only doing one overhand knot there because I don't want there to be a gap between these pearls. So I'm going to add on, so I've got 6 on both sides. Zakia says, I'm fabulous, just like you, making of your necklaces, darling. Thank you very much. I did go a little bit wrong at the beginning. I put the wrong number of beads on, and it didn't fluster me though. Did you see how calm and relaxed I was? Knowing that it's going to be on the internet to watch back that mistake forevermore. But we're amongst friends, aren't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one is 6. I'm going to actually cut these because I don't need them that long. I would say if you are doing a section with like 30, 32 running through the middle, do use a long length of your thread or your nylon, whichever you choose to use. Your nylon comes in the pack, and I've said that you will need at least 160 centimetres, which is about 63 inches. So you'll be provided with that. So, it's like a little mini necklace. All I'm going to do now, I'm going to tie another knot. You don't have to at this stage, but I'm going to. And that's just going to keep. It's really easy to tie a knot with this because I've got 2 threads, so I'm just going to do an overhand. I'm now going to take my callotte again, another callotte with the little hook, and I'm going to take my threads up through the bottom and out the top. I'm then going to take another crimp bead, and again, if you wanted to, you could do a small seed bead with this. And I'm just going to add it onto one end of my threads and let that sit right in the middle. And then I'm going to tie another knot just to trap it in place. You can do a surgeon's knot. You can even add a little bit of glue to this if you wanted to. All I want to make sure is that my seed bead is, or my crimp bead, is going to sit inside just there. Now also, if you want to, you can take your threads and you can pass it back through your necklace and through those few beads. So we're going to miss out the crimp and we're going to just travel it back through, and that can just add a little extra sturdiness. If not, what you can do is once you've tied these in a knot, and you don't have to add, I've not added glue to any of mine, but if you want to for that extra security, a little dab of glue just onto it. I'm not crimping that crimp bead, I'm just making it act as a stopper bead. What you will do is, if you want to, you can run those threads back through what I've said, or you can just come in nice and close and just chop off any of that extra thread that you might have. If you are passing them back through, I would put a needle on it just for ease. And then just going to pinch it with my fingers over the knot and over the crimp bead. Come in with my chain nose pliers and just close that over, making sure my knot and my crimp are nicely secured inside. And then where I have my hook, I'm just going to take my round nose and I'm just kind of rolling it just to close that hook over. You can give it a little pull if you need to, just to stretch out any kinks. It's going to sit like this. And then all I would need to do is attach on my extender chain. It's just a lovely little piece of chain that you're going to get. I think you're going to get about 10 centimetres. I've just popped like a little bead on the end of it. But that can give you a little bit of extra length. So if you take your jump rings that are also going to be included in your kit, this is the Lakshmi pearl necklace. I'm going to give it a little turn to open and just slide that through that loop on the callotte as we would do normally. And then you can take your little piece of chain and add that through as well and close it over. And then on the opposite side, I'm going to take another jump ring, slight little twist to open, slide that on through the loop in the callotte again at the bottom of the necklace, add on my clasp. You're going to get a 12mm lobster clasp and give that jump ring a nice firm close so the ends are lined up. And then I can attach to wherever on the extender that little piece of chain that I want to. This is actually quite a sweet little bracelet. I suppose if you wanted to wear it as a bracelet, you could make a smaller one like I've done. But today the Lakshmi necklaces are meant to be necklaces. And you can see here I've got this really, in fact I can take this away now, can't I? I've got this very pretty powdered blue one, which is on the gold findings. When it sits around your neckline, it's going to give that lovely kind of pointed edge. We have very pretty light purple for you as well here. There's a very fine and pretty, I think this was it pale green or pale olive? So you can attach that through the jump ring and then have the chain dangling, or you can attach it further along the chain. So this colourway here that we have is the Lakshmi necklace in pale olive. And again, they'll just create that lovely pointed edge. And then the one that I've demoed today is this one here. And this one is your light peach. These necklaces also come in pink, a space grey and a white as well. And they are £3.99 for whichever colour you fancy. So what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 colours for you to choose from today. Head over to totally.uk and you can see all the colours there in the Lakshmi pearl necklace kit. Can this be done with bicones as well? Says Cash Hayward. Yeah, I guess so. I guess it could. Yeah, I don't see why not. Yeah, all you're doing is you're just creating that crisscross, and then when you get to the end to kind of turn the direction that you're working in, you're going to go with 3 on one side, say on the left, and then 1 on the right, and bring that back through. I have got a necklace on already, so let me just push that to the back. So you can see here how it sits. It does sit very, very pretty. And of course you can adjust that for the neckline that you're wearing. So if you wanted, because you've got that extended chain, you can make it sit a bit lower. It could sit higher, and that little point is just going to give it that kind of central focal position there. Camille says, lovely, thank you, Natalie. You're very welcome. Very pretty, says Kaylee. Thank you. Gorgeous necklace, says Just Me. I hope I've answered any questions. It's lovely seeing people know each other going, hiya, you're right. Yeah, it is. It is kind of like a modified raw, which is right angle weave, I suppose. With a right angle weave, you're always sharing one bead as you come back through into kind of like your next little kind of section, so to speak. So this is really straightforward. Passing it back through that bead then makes one of these beads share the next section, and so on and so on. So yeah, I would probably say it is like a modified right angle weave stitch. But you know, I don't class things as stitching when I do it because I don't really like using a needle. Yeah, I think you could use anything you fancy in terms of the colours and the thread particularly. But these Lakshmi kits are a fabulous price for £3.99. £4 gorgeous necklace. If you are doing wedding jewellery, I think they would sell really, really well. But also, as you can see, I mean, I probably wouldn't wear it with me top folded in and my other necklace on, but well, actually, I might double them up, have one inside the other, or one longer than the other one. But they do look really lovely with a t-shirt, and they're really straightforward to make. Oh, thank you very much. You're all being very, very kind. I'm going to be back with you next Monday. I'm going to be using some Shambhala beads on Monday. So I'm making very pretty necklaces. Don't know where I put them. Again, really straightforward to do. Thank you. You're all so kind. Thank you for being patient with me today. I'm going to go and have myself a coffee and then carry on making more samples up. So have a lovely, lovely weekend. Whatever you're doing, be kind to each other, stay positive as much as you can, and keep making